From Maimonides' perspective, in your natural state, you are out of balance. By the way, he says that this he says in the first chapter, just as a physician wants to bring a person to health, they start out unhealthy and become healthy. He says a physician of the soul realizes every human being starts out unhealthy. So it's not that you start out healthy and then you get unhealthy. He says we all start out unhealthy. We call that adolescence. Okay? Adolescence is by definition, for the vast majority of adolescents, unhealthy. Okay? What's that again? They're narcissistic, they're emotional, they're dramatic, they don't think well, they overinterpret, they engage in danger, super compliance or to get approvals of parents and teachers. We find out all this when they're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and we realize that they've adapted maybe, but they've never really worked through their teenage years. In fact, sometimes one of my quips is, every adult in trouble is an adult who's regressed to a teenage state that they never worked through. Okay? So by definition, we all go through our adolescence, and many of us learn how to act as if we're not adolescent, but the adolescent drives are still there. So he would say we all begin in what he would say, an unwell state, and the physician of the soul, that could be a clergy person, or might not, but any person who's a physician of the soul is the one who leads a person to this kind of balance. The balance begins with a devotion to what you might call that which does not change, love, justice, truth, beauty, holiness, etc. And from devotion to that, there can be then the working of what you might call happens in the realm of action. That's the picture that he sets up. And I think it's, number one, it's a very familiar one to me, to you, and I think he's absolutely correct. Yeah, so one thing I always thought whenever I studied Freud, and I'm not claiming I've studied Freud enough, but we talked about the anal child that won't please mommy and keeps the cocky in. Mommy has to wait. And then the messy child that says, I'll put the cocky anywhere I want. I'm not going to make mommy wait, right? And so that is how the adult is. The messy adult and the anal adult. I said, well, who made the infant that way? Who made the infant sit on the toilet and say, I'm going to be anal, right? They didn't become anal because they sat on the toilet. They were anal when they got to the toilet. Okay. Whoa, then we got to go back a year, to the breastfeeding. Okay. Well, why is it that kids react so differently to an environment? And then, so I think we actually are born with a tichunot. I want to say one thing here, very important. I recently went to a conference on teen wellness, and we may be hearing more about it. We were talking about, I really went in with the intent to listen. I did not succeed. I eventually said, folks, we're starting out wrong. Teens are not well by design. Making a teen well, in the background, I'm hearing create compliance. I'm hearing that in the background. I know he means all kinds of good things, but what I'm hearing is less disruptive. What can we make them more like Stepford teenagers? Now, no one's saying it, but I'm hearing it in the background. And mainly, in the background, how can we get them to do their homework and get into the right school? And you've known me well enough that I'm sitting there trying not to blow gaskets as this conversation is going on. And I said, well, they're designed not to be well. And our question is, can we nourish their souls and give them the tools to get through these years and become well? I don't want a teenager to be well. Because the kid who's rebelling like crazy, okay, that may be the kid that can change the world one day. And we're trying to get the kid to take their drugs and comply and get all their homework done when they're the kid who sees through everything, that it's all a fraud, that it's all about parents fearful that their kid's not going to do enough. And that kid is going to break this thing and go do something great with their life unless we medicate the kid into compliance. Right? So I have a whole different theory about raising teenagers. But my understanding of being a father I have one teenager left. My last one is turning 19 in a week, and then after that, a year later, I don't have any teenagers. But I've gone through 4 of them, completely different people. Each one needed a different Torah to get through. Each one needed a different Torah. And I wish I would have known this a lot earlier, how to peer into the soul of a child, and with as much wisdom I can, give them, shape them to the Torah that I think would address the torment of their soul, not my soul, not society's soul, not their teacher, not their school, but take a look into that child's soul. So we all begin from Maimonides' perspective as it were, unwell. And then something in this higher realm typically has the root of the healing if we can devote ourselves to it.